And welcome back to Life Leadership with Alex Urbina, right here in your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. We're in studio with Deputy Ferrone from the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff's Department, and we've been talking about the VIDA program. The VIDA program's an at-risk program for teenagers with behavior issues, drug and alcohol, kids that aren't doing well in school and probably at home, and so their parents bring them to this program. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so one of the things, before we went on a break, I was thinking to myself, what are some of the key ingredients that you think is present in your program that's really making the biggest difference with these kids? Is it that you guys are like, you're kind of like I visualize it like you're almost big brother, but you're also like the authority. So you kind of switch roles. Is that kind of your mentality?
Balance of the two, having the balance of the two.
What we do is the fact that we bring in our voluntary military people, they can kind of be the pit bulls and they wear that hat.
So it's kind of good cop, bad cop?
Good cop, bad cop. And then what we do is, there'll be times where I just have to blow my top, but I have to be the one in control, the one they can come and talk to. Hey, you know what? This is why they're yelling at me. I can't get this straight. But they have to have a safe place, and usually we're the safe place, the deputies. And and probably twice a class I'll lose my mind, and it's not necessarily because I'm really that upset. It's just to get everybody back on track, to show them that, hey, I'm running the show, and it's time to get everybody back to where we need to be in order to accomplish whatever we're doing that day.
One of the things that keeps coming to my mind, and I'm just going to ask it because it keeps coming up, is if you can put a percentage on the fathers that are missing in some of these families, or the fathers that are there that are just checked out, what percentage would you put it at?
Well, just from the assessments I've done so far this class, I would say 70%, at least 70% of the parents are not even in the child's life. 40% don't even know who the parents are, and then so that leaves you with 30 that are there. And those 30%, I would venture to say probably at least half of those are checked out. So we're looking at a high percentage of fathers that are checked out.
That explains a lot with what's going on with kids.
and I start out we do an assessment. It's from North Point, and it was specifically designed for the VIDA program. And this is millions of dollars done for our program, and kind of semi-donated to the Sheriff's Department. And what we do is we plug in numbers and answers from kids that we get, and I'll start off the assessment asking them about their father's or mother's relationship. And when I get a child that says, yeah, my dad's not in my life, I said, does that upset you? And almost 100% of the time, the male will say no. And I'm like, really? Because that would really upset me. And that kind of puts us at ease and like show them that we actually have a heart and that we are human. And I tell them, hey, I have 3 kids of my own, and kind of let them know. And, the kids have a really negative feeling with law enforcement, and I tell them, I'm not out to get you in this VIDA program. I've taken enough kids to jail. My job now in law enforcement is to keep you out of jail, and I'm going to do everything I can to keep you out of jail.
What's funny is that in my trainings, I do of experiential exercises, and especially we do one with the parents and doing the dads and the moms, and we have a process where we have the teens work with the dads, and a lot of times those kids will start to open up and cathartically release. And in the beginning, they'll say they don't have an issue, or that they're fine with their dads, or their dads are okay. But what I've noticed is we got about 70 to 80% of those teens, especially the boys, that will just break down, and when given permission in a safe environment, they'll cathartically release all the pain and the hatred and the resentment that they have towards their fathers for not being there. But at first glance, when you ask them, they're not going to own up to it. They're not going to tell you that they have daddy issues, or that they're upset, or their dad wasn't there for them, or their dad made promises and didn't keep them. But you'll see that in a lot of times.
Their armor's up at the beginning, because they don't want to really let you in. They don't want to be vulnerable.
Absolutely,
right?
and it's a lot of way that the parents were brought up, and a lot of us were brought up to dad's authoritative figure, and from there on we move on. There's no relationship besides that, and we move on. And I know as a dad, there's times where it's hard for me to put my guard down as a dad, and you have to open up your heart, especially with a female, my daughter, and it is hard. Sometimes it's not natural.
Yeah, it's a learned skill. Actually,
absolutely,
you can learn it.
And luckily,
my sons need it too, by the way.
Absolutely, no, and I agree, and it's definitely something that you need to learn, and it's vital. If you don't learn it, you can pretty much guarantee you're not going to have a great relationship with your child. So when you're sitting there and you might be uncomfortable for you, be sure, and I'll tell you, you will not have a relationship if you're not willing to go outside that box and be uncomfortable. And the more you do it, the easier it is. My wife is very involved, and she has no box, and she's always on the kids and loving on them. So there's a good balance, but we as dads definitely have to step out of our comfort zone and let the kids know that we'll be vulnerable. Because if we're not, we're just going to continue to pass it on. I think we're kind of doing a better job with this generation. Hopefully, they will be more. Not necessarily going to the baseball games and just being involved in that manner, but actually being involved with their psyche and being involved with building their self-esteem. Because 100% of the kids in the VIDA class have low self-esteem. It's not 90, 100.
And what do you guys do to build up that self-esteem?
We give them, and that's a great point, because a lot of people want to know, well, why do you do the A, B, and C, and it seems useless? Why do you do this? Is it just because you want to tire the kids out? No, we're building up their self-esteem. We're giving them some things to accomplish. Hey, you know what? You didn't know you could do a 10-mile hike, and you did it. Hey, you didn't know that you could actually do close order drill, and you did it. You didn't know that you guys could come together as a team and win the VIDA games. You did it. You're building yourself up. You guys are selling yourself short. Week 1, we tell them, what do you want to be? We call it Dreams Day. What do you want to be? On your dream, what's your dream job? And then what we do is week 8, we bring all VIDA classes together, all 8 sites up to Bouquet Canyon Elementary, and we try to have an employer for each thing that the children want to do.
That the children said? That's
exactly,
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You know what we're doing over at the Action Family Zone, right?
I have not been over there, but I've heard it's awesome.
Yeah, you got to come by
Yeah,
there.
it's exciting stuff.
Yeah, we're doing empowerment and leadership and team building, experiential workshops to build self-esteem. And I think, and actually I've seen a couple of the VIDA kids that have go to the program, they show up with this light in their eyes because you guys kind of sparked that flame. But I think that they're also yearning for a what's next. So we have some of those kids showing up, and we're embracing them and putting them in workshops and really trying to fan that flame to help take them to the next level, because that's what we're committed to.
When they leave VIDA, they have a whole new. They feel like they've conquered the world. Like, hey, I want to come back. I want to really help other kids. And unfortunately, 16 weeks isn't necessarily going to make them, a doctorate in child psychology. But they know they want to help. It's just kind of how. And there's endless amounts of things that we could come up with. Unfortunately, it all comes down to time, budgets, all that kind of stuff. Now that they open up the Action Zone, there is a place for them to go.
Right, afterwards. Yeah. Afterwards. Excellent. So we'll be back with more. Stay tuned. You're listening to Life Leadership with Alex Urbina right here on your hometown station, AM 1220, KHTS.
Thank our advertisers.